Welcome back to more sounds of the sound of the WK show. Heavyweight Soul, everybody, for the Golden Triangle. With the baby, Willie K, the 26-year-old wonder of soul, the ninth wonder of the world, and the number one wonder in your heart. Hang out there, baby. Let's kind of keep our feathers together.
KJET, blowing soul.
Willie Knighton, thank you for speaking with me for Bayoulands. How's it going?
I'm fine. How about you, Gordon?
I'm doing well. You seem pretty comfortable behind this microphone. How does it feel being back in front of a microphone again?
Well, really, I don't think I ever left, but it's very comfortable to me. It's just that I'm much older, and it takes my voice. I've lost the tonality and everything in it, being out of the media for about 45 years. You know, the more you... And I find, like a fine athlete, once you get in shape and you stay exercising, everything remains the same. But I'm fine with it, very comfortable.
So you were originally born in East Texas, and your family moved to the south end of Beaumont at the age of 4. You later graduated from Charlton-Pollard High School in 1956. Tell me about living in Southeast Texas during that time.
Living in Southeast Texas from the age of 4 or 5, when my mom moved here from East Texas, it's always been a pleasure for me, because at that time, the whole neighborhood raised the kids in the neighborhood, and you were very mattered and you were very obedient, because if you did not listen to the lady down the street, Aunt Callie or whoever her name was, then she'd whip you, and then she'd call your mama, tell your mama, then mama gonna whip you, and then your aunties in the neighborhood. Well, everything was an auntie or cousin in the neighborhood. So it was very proud. I think I had a very good upbringing, and I think that sort of guided me toward being the man and the fellow with the attitude that I have toward life. I love everything, love everybody, and just go with the flow.
Most students in high school would probably have a job at a corner store, but you were actually a DJ at a radio station. How did you get into radio?
There was a guy, KJET originated, I would imagine it was the late 53 or thereabout, and a guy by the name of Boy Brown. Boy Brown, Sugarthroat Miller, and Whitney Nelson were the 3 jocks originally on the station. And Boy Brown was a guy that challenged everybody. There was a thing called Teenagers at the Turntable that went on Saturday afternoons from 2 to 4. It would be the girls come down, they'd take dedications and announce them on the mic. And so one Saturday nobody showed up. I was always there, but the group didn't show up. So Boy said, "Hey, it's on you. You think you can do it, do it." I said, "Boy, I never, had that ambition." He said, "No, you think you're good. Go ahead and do it." So I took the challenge, and from that point forward, to me, it just seemed natural. I'm one of those guys who I'm very quiet to some extent, but then when I would get behind the microphone, it would just bring me alive. Something like Michael Jackson. I know you're familiar with Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, as quiet as he could be, if you don't talk to him, he wouldn't talk to you. But once Michael get on that stage and the music hit, it was on. And, that was basically my thing. For some reason or another, being a jock brought me to life. And I was one way as a jock and very quiet in the other way.
So you see yourself as an introvert, but
Exactly.
when it comes to being in front of the microphone, you're a performer.
Oh, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy. Just let it all hang out.
That's part 1, everybody. General Crook on the Willie K Show, Heavyweight Sound. A thing called Come On and Give Me Some. Look, Mercy, we're going to give you something. We're going to sock the soul in your house. So, Toot, we're going to do it, and I just want you to help me. Say, give me some more.
Tell me about Teenagers at the Turntable.
Teenagers at the Turntable, as I said, was a Saturday afternoon show that was on from 2 to 4 on KJET with the high schools. Each high school could come out, have kids out. They would take names and do things on the radio, their dedications on the radio to their friends that was listening. And so it went on, I'm going to say that probably lasted maybe 2 or 3 months before it got to the point, whereas it fizzled out. And I was sort of not pushed in, but Boy Brown gave me a challenge. And this is when I take challenges, most cases, very seriously. Don't tell me can't do something because I'm going to be out to prove that I can. And that's basically what happened. That went on around late 1953 and 53. The group, a few months after, they fell out, so it became Willie K, teenage disc jockey, Willie K at the turntable on Saturday afternoons. That went on for years. I could not do the regular shows because of alcohol, and that was some stipulations by FCC. You had to be a certain age to advertise alcohol on the radio. So when I became 21 years old, it was on a full-time job, and I was there for a period of about 25 years.
Well, starting in high school, I'm sure your coaches and principals and your teachers were listening to you on the radio. So how was that walking down the halls of Charlton-Pollard and you also being this radio personality at the same time?
I think I got by my teachers. I mean, I think they just, let me go because of the popularity that I had at the school. They didn't push me. I'd be late for class a lot of times, and they never reprimanded me or anything. So, but now the good part about it was all the little fillies that would be around, and they'd get all excited, man, and that would excite me, get my adrenaline going. And I ended up being a dad at my senior year in high school because it was just almost highly impossible not to get hit by some bullets that were coming at you. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't take advantage of anybody, but I enjoy the popularity. I am in the 1956 annual of the Bulldogs as the Charlton-Pollard teenage disc jockey. A lady by the name of Marion. Miss Marion used to call me the 16-year-old wonder. All the teachers had something to say about it, but they were very proud of me, and I got a lot of accolades from all of them. Especially the English teachers, they were talking about how my voice had progressed and the diction and all of that was there. And I was only like 15, 16 years old, but it just all fell in. I guess it was just a gift from God.
So the radio performer, the personality, started to come out more in just the everyday life of Willie Knighton.
Only on the radio, and whenever someone would approach me in the public, the situation, well, the way it is, if you are outgoing on the radio and you're trying to get your audience roused up, then you cannot be a shut mouth when you're on. You got to be mixed with them when you go out in the public. When I would go out, I've always been the same. I don't know really how to explain it, but I'm anytime that I'm out in the public, among the public, I'm very overt. My wives, and I've had a couple of wives, they all said, you're too friendly and you don't want to do this. They don't want to hear all that. I said, well, hey, this is my personality, and I can't be one way on the radio and expect for them to accept me as a disc jockey. And then when I'm with you, one of the wives, I don't say anything to them. The first thing they would say, well, he talks when he's not with, he talks when she's not with him, but now when she's with him, he want to be stuck up. That's not me. I don't care whether you're with me or not. I'm going to be the same.
Well, speaking of the radio personality, can you give me a little sample of what I would hear if I was listening to you back in the 50s and 60s on the radio?
That's one of those situations there that I didn't have an outline. I just had things that would come to me.
Soul in motion, Willie K, showtime. You gotta turn on, but you better turn on to me. Come on, baby, let's do our things like together.
And one of the ones that I used to say a lot is, I can do it without you, but I do it so much better when we do it together. I use that little phrase. I throw that out there a lot. And, let's do it, and let's do it K's way. Just a whole lot of things with that. If I was on the radio today, I could come alive, and we had some music kicking back there. I could really get on with it. But it's just something the music evidently motivated me. It brought me alive.
Well, speaking of the music, what would I hear? What would I be listening to?
Back then, well, starting in the 50s, you would be hearing Marvelette, Diana Ross. Can't remember a lot of time. Marvin Gaye came along much later. And then it just evolved where I I'm basically targeted my age group. And as I got older, I pulled the age group that was with me back then. I brought them along with stuff like Betty Wright, Irma Thomas. You had Gladys Knight and the Temptation. Even I went a little further back than that, which would be before your time. Hank Ballard and the Midnighters, the Five Royals, Laura Folsom, Charles Brown, the music of the Merry Christmas Baby. It's just awesome. I had the opportunity of meeting all of these artists, but interviewed B.B. King when I was approximately about on the telephone, about 18 years old. B.B. was doing a show that night, and I was working that Saturday afternoon, and they were coming in, and he called me, and we did an interview with him, letting folks know that he was going to be at the Club Raven, and that was an honor. I also had the privilege of meeting Mavis Staples, Shirley Caesar.
Well, I heard that Beaumont was popping. Charlton-Pollard neighborhood, Club Raven, Cheney's Auditorium, and I know that a lot of artists would come through this area, and KJET was a place for those artists to go because they wanted people to come to their shows.
Exactly.
Tell me about a typical night at one of these venues and meeting the artists and what that was like.
I just like to say, I really don't know because I met them all. Tina Turner, I had the opportunity of booking her myself along with Roy Broussard out of Port Arthur and Clifton White. It's just awesome for me to sit back and really, relate, think about it. It's just so much to come about, and you just have to accept it. I enjoyed it, and if I had to go through it again, I would. I would live the same life. I enjoyed what I did, and I appreciated what I did. And as I said, I think it helped mold me into the man that I am.
78.3, Bobby Bird, everybody, on the heavyweight side of soul, the Willie K Show in progress. The sign of success, the man want to feel it. He needs help.
This is swinging soul control. It's KJET. In Beaumont.
Do you miss radio?
If I sat here and said I didn't, I would be lying. When I was terminated back in October 13, 1977, I left radio alone. I never entered a radio station until this 105 came along. I stayed away from it for a long time, even though I still love it. Now, to be honest with you, if a station came into play today, like not me, as the comedian would say, I mean rat now, R-A-T now, and offered me a job and told me that, hey, we sit down, we talk about what it would take for me to get back in radio. As long as you don't try and format me, I'm okay. Tell me what you expect of me, and I would get back in radio, and I think I can probably start where I left off at. I think I could just, like I'd never been out. And I would be I would be the longest radio personality in the city of Beaumont had that not happened, because all of the guys that I came up with, they're deceased. Boy Brown, Cal Weaver, King Arthur, there is Whitney Nelson, Lynn Simon's father, Leo Simon, Wild Bill Harris, which was on one of the white radio stations. They gave him 15 minutes or 30 minutes or something a night, and he'd come on and capture the crowd. But I would still be in radio, and I would probably have the title of being the longest living jock. Cal Caldwell, we all were in there together. All those jocks, they came along. I can't remember all the others' name that was over there with Caldwell. There were about 16 stations in the Beaumont market. Of those 16, only one was black formatted, and that didn't happen until 1953-54. So we had the city locked up. Beaumont, population-wise, was 34% black population. So with us being the only black station attracting the black audience, there was no doubts about where we stood in the ratings. But
so what did KJET mean to the black community here in Southeast Texas?
It was everything. It was everything. I mean, it was when news broke that was pertinent to blacks, we were there. we covered it. We weren't always covered by Enterprise and Journal and the other radio stations, and TV stations. But when KJET was there, they were the voice of the black population of Beaumont.
KJET Community Calendar.
Presented by Con's Big Appliance Stores.
The prayer band of Ebenezer Baptist Church will meet in the home of Sister Ellie Hicks at 3350 Telefarrow on Wednesday, October 14th at 9 a.m. All members are invited and asked to bring a friend. The Order of Eastern Stars 80th anniversary will be held Sunday, October 18th, 2:30 p.m. at the Mount Rose Baptist Church, 1005 Gladys Street. All members are urged to attend. The Benjamin Singers will be singing at the Morning Star Baptist Church on October 18th at 3 p.m. This event is sponsored in behalf of the men's choir, and the public is invited.
We would do remotes at the various stores. If a store opened and they wanted a crowd of people to come down and purchase and patronize them, they went to KJET first. Political, they always bought the big spots on KJET, trying to reach the black audience.
So this station was a very important part of the community.
It was their media. I'll put it like that. It was a media of the whole Beaumont. Well, not so much Beaumont, but the Golden Triangle, because KJET had a radiance of 1,000 watts, which covered pretty close to 100 miles, and we were non-directional. We'd go all up in Silsbee, Kuntz, Wirgate, Houston, Lake Charles. We went as far as Lake Charles and Lafayette.
So this was a sunrise to sunset radio station, correct?
Sunrise to sunset to begin with.
What does that mean exactly?
That meant if the sun rose at 5:15, we could sign on, and if it set at 5:20, we had to sign off. And in the summertime, as the time schedule moves back, it gives you a little more time. But eventually, it finally came to a point whereas our regular sign-on would be 6 at KJET, and it would sign off at, I think, 6. But then KJET came in with a FM, KWIC Quick. It's still in operation. And then we would go ahead and we would simulcast with the two radio stations up to the time that we had to go. Then the next morning at 6 o'clock, Quick channel, which was an FM band, non-directional FM, which was very, very strong. And we would just sign them off, and then KJET took back over until 6 that evening, and then they simulcast until, the next morning.
Ladies and gentlemen, KJET proudly presents the Jet Set. From sign on till 10 a.m., it's Cal Weaver and the Cal Weaver Show. From 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., it's Boy Brown. From 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., it's the sound of heavyweight soul and the Willie K Show. From 6 p.m. to 12 midnight, it's KJET's Mal Chow, Bayoulands and the Bayoulands Show. On Sundays, from sign on till 10 a.m., and from 6 p.m. to 12 midnight, it's Lee Calhoun and the Gospel Train. KJET, bringing you the Jet Set.
You mentioned some names like Boy Brown and Cal Weaver. Tell me about the talent that you worked with there at KJET.
I would put the group that stayed together for 8 to 10 years, I would pit us against any air personality. It doesn't make any difference to any of them that you could even think of. We would be right there with them because they had some these guys were consummate pros. We were personalities. Now, if you'll notice, the trend of radio has gone to personalities. And a good example of that, I know you're familiar with Joyner. Mm-hmm. You're familiar with Steve Harvey.
Yes.
You're familiar with Monique. And I don't know, there's so many others out there, entertainers now that are going into syndicated radio. They're doing what we did back in the 50s.
So it's come back around.
Yes, exactly. But the only problem is, I won't say it's a problem. It might be a problem for some, but it's good for those guys that are syndicated, because what's happening is that whereas you had a jock for a 3 or 4 hour shift on each station, Now, if you're syndicated and you got 100 radio stations you're syndicating in, you're moving a lot of guys out of a job.
You mentioned a show earlier, Solarama.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about that. So I was at a city council meeting a little while ago when they were honoring Boy Brown, the current mayor at the time, and some people on the council share some memories about this program.
The mayor did. The mayor and the one of the councilmen that just recently passed, W.L. Page Jr.
Yes.
Yeah, there were several of them that had comments about it. Yes, we did touch them also.
So, again, what you all were doing on KJET not only was for the Black community, but it also crossed over.
Oh, you'd be surprised. And we had audiences all over. And, you know, there's a couple of sundown, sunset cities around. And a lot of our listeners were from those particular areas. I mean, they kept a radio station on KJET.
From Motown, the latest sound, everybody, by Smokey Robinson, the Miracles on the heavyweight sound of soul, the Willie K Show in progress. The sound of success, the tears of a clock.
What do you think people feel about KJET now? It's been gone for decades, and this iteration that you're speaking of, how do you feel Southeast Texas feels about those memories in the past?
It's like I said, I've been out about 45 years, been on the radio. There's very seldom, well, I never have been able to go out into the public, especially at gatherings, and somebody or a lot of bodies don't rush me, and they still know me. They knew the KJET disc jockeys. It's just been an honor to even just be a part of it. And you asked me a little while ago about Solarama. Solarama was a jewel. Solarama was sponsored by Zales Jewelers. On Sunday afternoon, I did a live radio show from the studio. We had a studio with a picture window, and I would have anywhere from 200 to 400 kids in there. They have to stop letting them in, and they had to be a member. I was president of the club, and they charged, I think it was 50 cents or something like that for them to come down. But there was a lot of kids there, and I've had some of them to tell me they're grown now. Say, I caught a many whippings by being at KJET on Sundays. I said, well, how did they say? Because you called my name, or somebody called their name, and and the mother had told them, her father told them they couldn't go, but they came anyway. That's how awesome it was. It was magnet. It would just draw you, and you took that whipping, whether you knew you were gonna get a whipping, but you took it anyway because
it was worth the good time.
There you go, and mingle with all of your classmates. I mean, and school kids. We had kids coming all the way from Dayton, Liberty, Smith Bluff, Kuntz, Silsbee. They were all around.
Thank you for sharing radio history that people may not be aware of and how instrumental KJET was. I'm sure a lot of people listen to the radio station in this area now and may not know the influence that this station has had on the community and stations that followed throughout the year.
Lavinia Lewis, she's got it, and she's got it bad because your love is all over me. Celebrating this week, number 38 on the Jet Set of Soul.
KJET, the sound of soul.
Thank you, Willie Knighton, for joining us on Bayoulands.
Incidentally, most people know me as Willie K. Gordon.
Willie K.
Yeah, Willie K. Knighton, the ninth wonder of the world. Sweet Willie. I mean, I got so many. Yeah. But they do call me Willie Bodacious Knighton, Sweet William, Sweet Willie. I have ninth wonder of the world.
See, I knew I was just getting you warmed up because it's coming now. I hear the radio voice. I'm hearing the personality. It is there.
Yeah, the Astrodome was the 8th and I was the 9th. I just never patented it. I started to patent it at one time, and I said, well, I'm going to leave that alone.